Greetings all. Finally, you get to put a face to the name. I am Noel Simmons, aka Blue Lion Man. That's what my username is on TFP. That's pretty much what my username is in fantasy games and on lots of places on social media across the internet. Now, I am here to explain how my Super Bowl squares grid works. Um, we're just 4 or 5 days away from the Super Bowl, and I wasn't going to run a squares grid this year as it's risky. If I don't sell them all, I could be financially out of pocket, as I guarantee the prizes, and it's just a lot of stress and hassle having to go to social media, Facebook, Twitter, finding groups where there's NFL fans or gambling fans and trying to talk them into trusting a stranger to have a go, because there's lots of scammers on the internet. The only thing that's good for me is years ago, NFL used to run official Super Bowl parties in London called Super Bashes, and I used to go and I used to run my grids there, and I used to have a very distinctive hairstyle, a Blue Mohican, because I'm a Lions fan, as you can probably tell with my baseball cap and very old Barry Sanders jersey. I was very disappointed losing to the San Francisco 49ers in the championship game, but we went further than I can ever remember. I was very, very young the last time the Lions made the championship game, so I can hardly remember it. In fact, I can't remember it. I probably did watch it because I know I was definitely into NFL back in the 90s. I've been into the NFL since the 80s, the mid 80s. So yeah, but it's hard to remember that far back. Anyway, I digress. I'm here to explain how I run Super Bowl squares online. Basically, I have made a grid up online of 100 squares on Google Sheets. Now, normally, if you were doing it in person, you'd have a grid of 100 squares. You'd go to your work colleagues or people in a bar. You'd say, do you want to have a go at squares? It's, I don't know, 10 quid, $10, whatever, depending what country you're in, a square. Write your name in, blah, blah, blah. And then when all the grids sold out, you would then randomly number the grid between 0 and 9 columns and rows. But as this is being done online and people can't physically pick their squares, I've come up with a raffle ticket system. So somewhere around here, oh, here we go. In past years, I've been using a raffle ticket book and slowly working my way through the book that I'm down to my last row of 100, my last 100 tickets. So instead of having a grid numbered online from 1 to 100 as it usually would be, I've renumbered the grid online this year from 401 up to 500. Now I rip all these out and I put them in a bag and I give it a good mix up. You know, you wish you had a tumbler, you know, like they use on a tombola. But then when people tell me they want 1 or 2 or 3 squares or whatever and they send me the money for them, I then dip my hand in and I pick out the raffle tickets, and then I go online and I put their name, their details in the squares that correspond with the raffle tickets. Then on Super Bowl Sunday, probably in the afternoon because I'm in the UK, so the Super Bowl's late at night our time. I think it starts about 11:30 at night our time, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, either when all the grid is sold out, which because I'm starting so late this year probably won't sell it out. So pretty much Sunday afternoon, early Sunday evening UK time, at least a couple of hours before the Super Bowl even starts, I will go to an online random wheel picker. That's where you put your numbers in 0 to 9 online on this spinny wheel. You click go and it'll spin and it'll stop on a number, and then that will be the number I use for the first row. And I go along the top of the grid and I randomly number the rows between 0 and 9. And then I reset the random number picker, and then I go again and randomly number the columns. That's so that the columns and rows are not numbered 1 to 9, they're random. Because that way, no one can pick their numbers. It's just luck of the draw. what raffle ticket you get to where you are on the grid, and then again it's randomly numbered. So everything is random. It's pure random luck. There's no skill in this game whatsoever. You pay your money, you take your chance, and it's just like buying a raffle ticket. If your number comes up, happy days. Now, you ask, how does your number come up? Well, I have a physical grid from last year, so I can follow the game when I'm watching it on the TV, or if I'm at a Super Bowl party, I take a physical grid with me so I know who's winning my online game. So you will all look at the grid. There will be a link to the grid posted on TFP, that's the Fan Pub forum. That's where I advertise my game. That's where I'm going to load a link to this video. That's where people can go and surf around that forum, and they can see that I have run fantasy games via that forum since 2014. I've been running fantasy games and money games a lot longer than that, but this was a forum that a guy from a physical fantasy football league that I created in the UK, he made the forum so we could all stay in touch, and I've just used it ever since then to advertise my fantasy games and my money games. Anyway, so here's the physical grid from last year. As you can see, Kansas City is the AFC team at the top, and last year Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl, so they were the NFC team down the side. And you can see how the columns are randomly numbered. Now, when the game starts, obviously the score of the game at kickoff is 0, and down this side 0. So you've got 0, 0, and then where the two meet, so the column and the row meet, that's the box it's on. And every time there's a score in a game, it changes the box it's on. So, as you can see, last year's Super Bowl 57, I think this was, yes, it was the Kansas City Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I've written, so I can remember, down the side here, the score. So at the end of the first quarter, the Chiefs had 7 points and the Eagles had 7 points. So the Chiefs is along the top. So you go Chiefs, column 7. And because the Eagles also had 7 points, we go and we find the row with 7 in. And then where the two meet was the winner for the first quarter. So Andy Duna, that's a gentleman that does a lot of my games from Switzerland, he won the first quarter. And it was last season, I did the grid for £10 a square. And it was £200 each quarter's prize. So he won £200 for the first quarter. Now, at half time, so that's the end of the second quarter, you can see that the scores of the game were now Chiefs 14, Eagles 24. You might think, hold on a minute. So who wins then? Because the score's in double figures. Well, in boxes, squares grids, you only ever take the last digit of a team's score. So you can keep hitting your number again and again. So the important part here is Chiefs 14, last digit 4. So that would be Chiefs, column 4, up here. And Eagles at 24. So again, that would be Eagles, row 4. 4, 4. Where the two meet, Ricky Pierce, he won the second quarter. So that was £200 for Ricky. And then you go again, and at the end of the third quarter, we can see that the score was now Chiefs 21. So you go Chiefs, row 1. Sorry, column 1. And then we can see that the Eagles had 27. So you go Eagles, row 7 again. And you can see that Drew Johnson, that's a Canadian fella who works away at sea on ships and things. He won the third quarter. And then I don't think there was any overtime in last year's game. So it didn't matter whether there was or not, because you go on the final result of the game. So the final result of last year's game was Chiefs 38, Eagles 35. So you find the Chiefs row, which is row 8. And then you find the Eagles row. Last digit was 5, so you find 5. And where the two meet, they won. So that was Greg Bryce. He won £200 for having the final result of the game square. And that is it. Now, I run tons of games all throughout the year, and this is one of only 2 games that I can make a profit on. If I sell all the squares, every square, I'll make 20%. But it's very unlikely I sell every square, especially starting this late on. So I'm taking a huge risk, because even if I only sell 100 squares, sorry, even if I only sell 25 squares, so I've only collected in £250, that don't matter. I'm taking a risk. I am guaranteeing the 4 prizes of either £200 a square if I make it a £10 grid, or £5 or £100 prizes if I make it a £5 grid. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I'll decide that later tonight. But I guarantee whatever prizes I say it's going to be this year, I guarantee to pay them out. Some years I have lost money. Other years I've broken even, because I might not have sold all the squares, but luckily if the score lands on a square that's not sold, I then don't have to pay out, do I? So, it swings and roundabouts. The more squares that remain unsold, the more chance the house is of winning. But I could be really unlucky, only sell 25 squares and find that all 4 squares are winners, and then I'm going to be, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, £600 out of pocket. It's, don't bear thinking about it. So I've got to put the legwork in, get onto social media, go to all the people I know from the different fantasy NFL leagues, people I used to know from Super Bashes, word of mouth, friends of friends, and do all I can to sell the grid out before the Super Bowl on Sunday. But that's why I do not number the grid until either the whole grid is sold out or a couple of hours before Super Bowl, to give myself the maximum amount of time, because a lot of people might be getting caught up in the atmosphere. They don't really follow the NFL all season, but they do watch the Super Bowl, and then they might just do a search online for squares because they're not going to a bar, they're just at home and they want to have a go. And then they might find my TFP post and this video last minute online and think, yeah, do you know what, I want to have a go at that, and then decide to have a go. So that gives me the maximum amount of time to sell as many squares as I can. I hope that explained how Super Bowl squares works. On TFP I will post a link to this video, and I will also post some links to past online grids from past years, so you can go and see. You can see the scores, how that Super Bowl was, and then you can look at the grid and you can see how those squares won in relation to each quarter score. I hope this video has tried. It's really hard for me to explain stuff. You just know how something works in your head or not. Trying to explain it to somebody else is really difficult. I hope this video went some way to trying to explain how things work. And also, if you ask around online in I don't know, NFL groups, fantasy groups on TFP, if you go to Discord, TFP's got its own server. If you ask the lads there, I'm sure a lot of them will vouch for me, say they've been doing my games for years and that they've never had a problem getting paid out. And I stand by it. I stand by my reputation. I've run fantasy games for over 20 years for money, and I don't think anyone's ever got a bad word to say about me, hopefully, and no one's ever not been paid out. That's just not who I am. I believe in being straight as a die and being upfront about everything. And I put a lot of my own time into running all these games all year round, and usually most of them the money goes out 100%, but because this one is a big financial risk to me if I don't sell them all and I guarantee the prizes, plus it's a hell of a lot of effort trying to sell the squares, this is why this game I do make a 20% if I sell it all out, which I don't every year. Some years I do, some years I don't. This year it's my own fault. I should have started as soon as the championship games are finished, but I really wasn't sure if I was going to run it this year, because I had to make this video, explain how it works. Everything's time consuming, but I decided, you know what, I finally got over the disappointment of the Lions not making the Super Bowl. I really thought this was going to be our year. I thought this was going to be a season of my life, and I was going to regret not having got out to the US this year to see any Lions games, because geez, man, the price of sports tickets in America these days is through the roof. It's crazy, because obviously you have to buy them off the secondary market. When the team's doing well, prices go up. People want to make money. Sucks, but that's just, when you come in from abroad, you have no choice but to try and buy them off the secondary market, off Ticketmaster or whatever. Teams don't want to help you out. It's just the way it is. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy the Super Bowl, whether you're supporting the Chiefs, you're supporting the 49ers, or you're neutral. Myself, I guess because I've got a lot of 49er players in one of my fantasy teams that I still have a chance to win in. Yes, because I am in some of my money games that I run every year do include the playoffs, and I'm actually leading one of my own fantasy games. I was leading last year going into the Super Bowl. It didn't go my way, and I ended up only the top two got paid. I ended up falling to third or fourth and got nothing after leading for most of the season. So this year I'm hoping it doesn't go the same way, and I think the way I ensure that is it's more beneficial for me to have the 49ers players do well and the 49ers win. So if they can do that, I will win my fantasy game. If the Chiefs win and win heavily, I could have the same rotten luck I did last year and fall out of winning. Also, a friend of mine, his nickname's McBear because he's a Bears fan, but his real name's Douglas Hay. He runs an NFL game. He does it every year where you have to pick 4 teams and there's no changes all season, just 4 teams as a whole, and however far they get, you earn points each week. 3 times your opponent's rating for an away win, 2 times for a home win. Anyway, long story short, I've been leading that for most of the season, but it's now got down to the Super Bowl, and I have the 49ers as one of my 4 teams. And if the 49ers win, I win his game. But if the 49ers don't win and the Chiefs win, somebody else catches me. I think the Andy Duna, the guy from Switzerland, done my mate's game. I think he has the Kansas City Chiefs. And if they win, he gazumps me and he wins my mate's games, and I think the prize is worth about, I don't know, 120 quid or more. I'm not sure. But so hence again, financially, I want the 49ers to win. So go Niners, which is not something I was saying last week. I didn't care if I didn't win any of the money in any of these games. I didn't care if I won my fantasy game. I didn't care if I won my mate's game. He did tell me I needed the 49ers, but I didn't care. I'm a Lions fan. I would have taken winning no fantasy games this year, winning no money this year if the Lions could have been in the Super Bowl and even better won it. That's because I'm a true fan. And I hope that maybe we can be there next year. But anyway, this video is now 17.5 minutes long. I could rabbit for England. Unfortunately, that doesn't get any gold medals and it's not an Olympic sport. So I will bid you good day, and I hope some of you would like to take part in my Super Bowl Squares game. Catch you on the flip side. See you later.